Minnesota. We're on about 2,000 acres of land, 500 of which are tillable. Right now, we're currently building with hempcrete. We've been growing hemp since the 2018 Farm Bill. We actually had a special permit right away the first year in the state of Minnesota with the University of Minnesota to grow industrial hemp. And starting in 2022, we had our own processing equipment. In late 2022, we started processing our own hemp. We used that to do a workshop in 2022, in September of 2022. And we actually hired on a crew this past June to start building houses out of hempcrete, and not just for the workshop. We did a small demonstration shed. And so now I actually have a crew that helps build the hempcrete, and I think some of them are on. So I was hoping they'd introduce.
Sure. Just let me know who they are, Danny. I'll bring them in.
So I see Cliff's on and Robert's on. I don't know if Butch made it or not, but we're a crew of typically 5 guys. A couple of them are in jail right now, and so once they're out, then we'll be back to a crew of 5. But yeah, so yeah, we're I guess that's my little introduction. If the guys want to introduce themselves on the crew, that would be great, and then I can talk more about our projects, I suppose, and how we got into it.
Wonderful. Go ahead, guys.
Hi guys, my name is Robert Larson Jr. I'm from the Lower Sioux, and I am the hempcrete mix master. And like Danny said, we've been working since I think June, and it's been great. It's been the most fulfilling job I've ever had in my life, and that's about it.
Hi, my name is Cooper Jones. I started with Danny's crew back in October. Pretty good experience. I like it. Guys are pretty good going. And we're learning a lot. So that's about it. Nice to see you guys.
Yeah, I thought maybe Butch would be on too, but we got oh, I see Mel's on too. Maybe he's too scared to talk to you guys, but Mel, why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself?
Here he is.
Hi, I'm Mel Berry. Yeah, I joined the crew back in, I believe it was like June, and then I left for a few months. Then I came back in October. Yeah, it's been a great experience working with the hemp, learning more about it. Just way different than commercial building, and I don't know. It's just interesting for me to be part of it.
Thank you, Bill. Go ahead, Daddy.
Okay, yeah, and so we actually have another one of our crew members on here, an extended crew member here, Cliff the gardener. I don't know how long he's been on or if he spoke up at all.
Yeah, he's up front with you guys.
Yeah. Okay.
Oh, Cliff Jones is different from Cliff the gardener?
Yep, there's 2 Cliffs here.
Okay.
Yep. All right, so I guess I can get back to our projects, I suppose. I'll let you know how we got into it at first. It was a former tribal council member. He was our vice president for 12 years and was pushing for us to start growing and building with hemp for the past 12 years. In 2018, he finally started to get to grow with hemp. Then 2022, we started processing and building with hemp. He's no longer employed with the community, but like I tell everyone, this is all his fault. This is all his doing. This was his vision to start everything, and so we're kind of just, it was his vision for this hemp train, and now we're just kind of keeping the train going. form. And so, yeah, we did the workshop we had Jennifer Martin from Hempstone come and teach well, we invited anybody in the community to come learn. Not many people showed up, and we did the 12 by 12 demonstration shed. It had 3 different wall systems, 2 different attic assemblies, and so it was a good learning experience on how to build with hempcrete and how to do the different wall assemblies and your different attic installations. That shed is now being used as by the youth as a concession stand at our annual summer powwow, and they use that to get money for to raise money for basketball tournaments, stuff like that. And so that was pretty cool to see that. It's got to be one of, if not the only, hempcrete concession stand in the world. I don't know why there would be any other ones, but and then from there, in June we started this duplex, and so we hired Cameron McIntosh from Amerishov. We purchased an Easy spray system, and in July, Cameron and Naveed Hatfield flew out to the res, and in 3 days we sprayed roughly 1,300 cubic feet of hempcrete into the duplex and finished all the exterior walls. That was the first hempcrete house in the state of Minnesota. It was around 1,500 square foot, just 2 side-by-side 1-bedroom units. It'll be used as temporary emergency housing. Then after that, we went on to, well, I think before we started the 4-bedroom house, we went down to Denton, Nebraska to see Tina's workshop that she had going with the blocks. And so the crew all went down there. We helped for a day do some of the retrofit with the blocks. And so we got some experience with the blocks there with Dion and Tina and their whole crew. That was good. Then we started a 4-bedroom cast in place house, and that was around 1,500 cubic feet of hempcrete. That was all done within probably 4 weeks in October, and so we had some warm weather here in Minnesota. We still have been having warm weather, so typically we wouldn't be doing hempcrete that late, but we did, and so we got that one finished up in October. Then we had a lime plaster training with Jennifer Martin again, and then Tim White from Texas Healthy Homes, and Naveed Hatfield came back out again. And so we did the 5 or 6 day plaster training with the crew. That was amazing. That was, it was really hard to even find anybody that knew anything about plaster or lime plaster, or we couldn't in the state of Minnesota anyway. And so that's why we had to have, people from out of the state to come show us. But I'd say that was the most challenging part of the whole process has just been the lime plaster. The guys are getting it down now, but yeah, it's a little bit of artwork, as Tim can tell you. And after that, then we did a prefabricated panel house with Matt Marino, and so we shipped some herd to Matt Marino and with Homeland Hempcrete to North Dakota. Then he made the panels in his factory, and he came back to the res with the panels and showed us how he puts them together. And within less than 6 hours, we had all the exterior walls on the house put up and put together. Then that was about it for the year. I mean, I guess we had a pretty busy year. That the tiny house is 520 square foot. It was 22 panels, 4x8 panels, just yeah, pretty simple layout. It's kind of a decent sized tiny house, I guess. I wouldn't call it too much of a tiny house. It's just a 1-bedroom, 1-bathroom house. from there, we also have a hemp campus in the works right now, and it should be finished construction in April. It's not out of hempcrete. It's just a big steel building, but it's where we will prefabricate panels and blocks, and we'll process our herd there as well, and do some types of testings with different materials, and hopefully process other parts of the plant as well. And I guess that's about where we are now. We do have a couple projects lined up for this year. Only one in the community right now. The community needs a lot of houses, but we don't have the funding to build new houses, and so we're looking for different options for grant fundings, and even to possibly invite other tribes or other people. They don't have to be from a tribe, but invite the public to come and help us build these houses, and so it can cut the labor costs, but then the people that come and help can also take the knowledge back to their communities and go build with hempcrete wherever they live. And so yeah, I guess that's where we're at right now. We have a lot of stuff coming up here this year. We have some projects outside of the community. But I think the biggest thing is just getting everybody else involved. What we're doing is nothing, we're not reinventing the wheel here. This is ancient technology. We're not doing anything special. You can go and YouTube or Google anything that we're doing, and we're just group of five guys that are just we're learning as we go as well, but we're just doing it, and we've kind of all rallied around it, and it's given us a good why, to it's a good purpose, I guess. It's pretty meaningful, these houses. It's not like we're just building houses. We're building healthier homes for our community members, and we're trying to do it at an affordable price as well. Being as we're all tribal members, all community members, we don't have to subcontract out. All of the material has been right here locally, and so it's been really good to be able to keep the costs down for the community. Our community has never had a construction crew or anything like that. We always have to subcontract everything out to other communities, so we don't, the money's always leaving. And so with having the crew right here, all community members, it's a real closed loop business model. We're going from seed to wall through the whole process, and so it's really rewarding to see that, and to know that at the end of the day, your community members are in healthier homes. I think it just goes without saying how good it makes us feel, at the end of the day. And so I've been on a lot of different job sites, but like this is different. This is a different feeling when it's all said and done. So I think that plays a big part in it too. And so I think you could go to any community, or bring people from any community here and show them, or go to a community and show them, and you could find a group of five guys that are looking for a purpose or a why to, in that it doesn't take a lot of training to get started in hempcrete. It's pretty. It's I think it's really big for everybody to get started on it. Especially in poorer communities. Where they need jobs, they need houses. They Most of the houses that usually get built in these areas are the worst materials possible, and so I think it's really big for us. It's I say we're nothing special. The only thing that's special is that we're doing it. We're not doing anything special. The thing that's special is that we're actually doing it. But now we almost feel like it's our duty to spread the knowledge, or to spread our experience, and I guess because we're still learning the knowledge. I'm not saying we're, we have all this knowledge to go give to people, but just how easy it is for you to get a group of people and rally around this plant and start building with it. It's yeah, I think it's really big. So
Exactly.
yeah.
Cliff's got his hands up. Cliff, come on in.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I was wondering if you could speak to, how you would engage a naysayer in regards to hemp for construction, and also, what does it look like with the laws of codes and permits outside of reservation?
Yeah, so I'll start off with the permits. With the permits outside of reservations for residential construction starting last month of January 24, Hempcrete is into the residential building codes for single story wall assemblies. And if you have an engineer sign off, you can go taller than single stories. And so it all depends on your region and your area, who's ever I guess the permit, whoever writes out the permits for that area. We've been lucky enough that we live on the reservation and we go by our own building codes. But one of the houses, the 4-bedroom house that we built, was actually a grant funded, and so it had to be inspected, and so we had to go by all of the the regular conventional codes. And so what I tell people is it's just your wall insulation. I think a lot of people that give out the permits, they don't know the difference. They hear the word hempcrete and um, they just associate it with concrete right away, and they think it's structural. And once you go and tell them, no, this is literally just your wall insulation, and then then they're like, oh, the house is still built structurally sound, with everything else, and technically the hempcrete's protecting that structure, and so once they hear that, it's pretty simple, and then they really don't have anything to say against it. um, we've had engineers and architects that were naysayers, and we showed them burn tests with the torches on blocks, and 10 minutes later they're asking us, how do we get this product into our builds? And so for the naysayers, I was a naysayer. I was a skeptic, and still kind of am in some of the things, because a lot of these claims, they do sound like snake oil salesman stuff, and so when I first started doing the hempcrete, Earl got us all into it, and he would have all these claims all the time from stuff he read in books, and I would basically always go against it, or no, that can't be. And then once we started working with it, everything that I said no to, he was right. Like I was wrong on all of them, and so that's just when you've done conventional building and people say, oh, this is this, and this material can do that, and you don't believe it, and then once you actually start working with the material, it proves itself. And so I've been a skeptic, but it's won me over, and I haven't been able to find anything, like Earl says, I haven't been able to find the fly in the ointment. So
Could maybe Robert speak on being a mix master, any of the dangers or non-dangers of working with the hempcrete, in the processing portion?
Yeah, I can speak on that. The dangers really only lie in the lime that you use, and when it is in a aerosol, like in a powdered form in the air. Lime can cause burns on some people's skin when during the mixing process if you get it water on you afterwards, but afterwards the material is completely safe. The lime is actually what helps, as you guys probably know, is what helps make it pest resistant, because it's unpalatable to most animals. They won't try and chew through it. They won't try and do anything to it. Me, I guess I was kind of lucky, because it seems like certain people have different reactions with the lime to their skin. I didn't get burned very badly by it. Some of our crew members got a little bit worse reactions, but we take the safety precautions, wear gloves, have respirators on if the dust is in the air, do everything safely.
Yeah, safety first.
Safety first.
Indeed. So guys, I'm going to jump really quick and take share screen because I'm going to bring in a show and tell here, Danny. I've got your Facebook I've got your Facebook pulled up. So explain to us what we're looking at. So this I recognize a lot of here.
What's that? You cut out there at the end.
Oh, I'm sorry. Here it comes. I thought it was up.
Yeah, I actually
So
had a slideshow ready for you guys, but I don't even know how to share it on my screen or anything.
Oh, you do? Okay.
It has basically all these pictures that you, but if you have it, then that's
No. I would much rather see. It's actually very simple. Look down at the bottom on your Zoom controls, and you will see a green arrow that says share screen.
yeah.
Just click
Yeah, I
on
got
that.
that screen.
Make sure if you have any sound, Danny, make sure there is a check box on the bottom once you get into share screen that says share sound. So if you've got videos with sound, if not, I wouldn't worry about it. And then just click on the screen where you got your slideshow.
Okay, I'm trying to find it now here.
No, you're good. Just keep going. You'll find it.
Are you? Can you see my slideshow right now?
No, keep going. It's probably still pulling up.
No. Can you see it?
Okay, now I see your phone's desktop. Yeah, just keep going. Just keep going like you're going to open up the slideshow. Okay, I think you got it. Yeah, it looks like he's frozen. Danny, can you hear us? Let's see if he buffers up here.
In the meantime, is there anything else that Robert might be able to share with us from like your building experience over
Yeah,
the last?
I did. I'm on the.
I think you lost your share
Hello.
screen, Danny.
Yeah, I did. I shut it off because it
You
froze
did.
everything. Can you guys still hear me?
Yeah. Robert, did you want to say something? I'm going to go ahead and pull it up.
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
A big part of the difference to me in these natural builds and the movement towards this natural building is like I've been in conventional building for not very long, maybe like a year or so, and got some experience in that. But to me, the difference in these natural builds is there's a part of it to me that is like a reclamation of part of our sovereignty as Native people, in that we used to live in these natural homes. All we knew was natural homes, and through the assimilation, we have been forced into these different homes that are actually very toxic for us, and we've learned that over the years. And to me, that's the biggest part about this that kind of drives me with it, and the putting our community in healthy homes. It's a great feeling. It's something that's almost hard to describe because I've never had a job that kept me wanting to stay there and actually have like Danny said, the why, to want to keep going back and the drive for it.
Wonderful. Thank you, Robert. Danny, slow down. Tell us what you're looking at, what we're looking at here. Okay, I recognize that.
I didn't know if they were working or not. Are they working? Yeah.
Danny, I don't think you've got the bandwidth to
I don't
show
know
and
what's
talk at
going
the
on
same time.
here.
Let's let Robert tell
Danny,
us what we're looking at.
try turning off your camera, Danny, and see if that gives
Yes.
us enough to where you can talk.
Good idea.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Hello?
Yep, just keep going. We see your screen.
Yeah. Okay. I don't know if you can see it on there. The five
Yeah.
guys. That's Earl Pendleton, our ex tribal leader, our visionary. That I call him the Earl of Hemp, and so that's the Earl of Hemp. This was our first workshop with Jennifer Martin. It was done right in the parking lot of our tribal government office. There's Jennifer Martin with the first hempcrete block out of the first mix we've ever done. It's still sitting on my desk in my office. Here's her doing a ball test for us during the first day of the workshop. You can see me and Robert standing there, and then Butch was the other one that showed up for the workshop. He's actually the only community member that showed up for the workshop. See the bags of herd, those were bags of herd that we actually processed ourselves. Jennifer Martin had said it was the cleanest fiber she had, or the cleanest herd she had seen. Here's the it started raining the first couple so we had to move
Danny,
it inside of
yeah, Danny, your audio is really breaking up bad.
Yeah, maybe Robert doing the talk.
Danny, your audio's breaking up really bad. We're going to go ahead. Let's let Robert talk. Robert, go ahead. Tell us what we're looking at.
1 second.
Okay.
Right there, we're looking at the demonstration shed that we built. That is the one that's currently being used as a concession stand. And you can see this was part of the way through the process because the roof is not complete yet, but that's that one. Like Danny said, that was the one that we opened up to the community to come volunteer at, and the only person that showed up is still in the crew.
Yeah.
Here we have Earl, Jennifer, Kevin, myself, my dad, my younger cousin, Butch, Joey, Joey's sister, and I can't see who that is.
Very cool. Go ahead, Danny. Next slide. Danny, go ahead. Click forward. There you go.
This is the shed on the powwow grounds as it sits today. That was the sign that we had on it to let everybody know what they were looking at. Give them a chance to actually see it and touch it and feel it and understand what.
Awesome. Danny, click ahead. We lost it. Okay. Time for my show and tell. Okay. Give it a second. My screen will pull up here in a minute.
I see your screen.
Is it pulled up? Okay. So we've already seen pretty much all that. That's Earl and the crew. So tell us what we're looking at.
Right here, you're looking at unfinished inside of the duplex when we were in the process of spraying.
Okay, so that is all spray application.
Yes. The wall that you can see on the very right is a cast in place wall. That was just the dividing wall between the two units that ran lengthwise. That one we did cast in place just because we wanted to have another opportunity to have the community come volunteer.
And is this did you buy this spray system from Cameron McIntosh?
Yes, this is the E-Reezy spray system from Cameron.
Wonderful. And that's Danny, isn't it?
Yeah, manning the gun.
Danny manning the door. Okay. Wow, look at that. That is the first picture I thought, and my first thought was, man, are these guys building a long house? And then I thought, no, wait, that's a different part of the world. But I called it the Lower Sioux Longhouse for the longest time. That's absolutely amazing. But tell us what we're looking at. Guys, explain what we're seeing there as far as why the studs are placed the way they are and why those plywood panels are across the bottom. Explain what we're seeing there.
So that's the exterior of the duplex that we sprayed. It's wrapped with a smart membrane mento wrap that acted as our permanent formwork, so we didn't have to use any shuttering or move any wood shuttering anywhere. And we sprayed the house from the interior right up against that mento wrap, and the woodwork that you see on the exterior there, that is to create an air gap for our siding that we were going to finish the house with. Down at the bottom is the floor doesn't start until the hempcrete doesn't start until above that, the plywood that you see going around the house. And so that's just to tie in and cover up any of the truss system that we used. We used a big floor truss system. It was on an existing basement that had been there for 14 years in the community. That was just basically a big open hole. And so that's what we built on top of. And we used a floor truss system just because we were going to have so much hempcrete, plus the dividing wall was going to be hempcrete, so it was going to be a little bit extra weight. And so that's why you see that there. I guess it's
Wonderful. Okay, so looks like you guys are spraying the walls.
Yep, that's Cameron doing his impersonation of Patrick Swayze on Ghost.
I just saw that comment, the Patrick Swayze film.
Yeah.
Oh, that's priceless.
yeah, and he's got my nephew there. My nephew's running the gun, and so yeah, he's showing him how to do it. And so yeah, it was awesome having Cameron on site to be able to to really show us how to get down. And so it was good.
Amazing.
No, quick question of spray like that. How different is it to shooting cellulose and whatnot? How's the application aspect?
So the application of the spray hempcrete is actually super simple. It's basically like a 3D printer when you're doing it. If you're hitting it right, we had a guy on our crew that got the hang of it right away. And that's how we got done so fast, is he got the hang of it within the first day, and the rest of the time he just basically sprayed the entire house. The only thing I would say that's tough or hard to do or hard to deal with, I guess, is just the noise. So the noise of the sprayer is incredible. It's not the sprayer; it's actually the air compressor that's used to power the sprayer. And so once you have your earplugs and your earphones on, then you're okay. But yeah, other than that, that's that's the only drawback with the spray is that it's just really loud.
Wow. So what is your application? What is that? That does not, I'm sorry, I don't have my glasses. Is that siding? What did you
That
guys
is.
do on the exterior?
That is.
Okay, go
Yep.
ahead. Tell us about that, Danny.
Yeah, and so like I said, we were trying to keep this as a temporary emergency housing. This is the materials that we have that's cheap, I guess you could say. Don't really want to use vinyl siding or any type of petrochemicals on a natural building. But we also didn't know how to do any lime plastering at the time either. And so this was our option, was basically to do an air gap and to do siding. And so, we've probably caught a little heck from the natural building community because there is vinyl siding on the exterior. But we didn't build this house for anybody in the natural building community. We built it for our community members to have a healthier house to live in.
Yep, it's a tribal
so-
habitat, exactly.
And really, like in our region, nobody wants the plaster or the stucco. I think it's beautiful, but everybody wants this ugly vinyl siding or ugly steel siding in this area. That's what every house in the area is. And so it's, yeah.
Okay, here's some other views. A really nice porch too.
Yeah, whoever gets to live there is going to be, they're going to.
Yeah,
And there it is. It's almost finished up. That was just a couple days ago. And so,
is
Nice.
that a hempwood floor, Danny?
no, it's not. I wish it was, but it's just too expensive, And so we plan to do some hempwood flooring in some of our, like, we have another house that we have lined up. And so we want to do more of like a showcase house where we use more natural products in the entire build, but it would probably be a smaller build, but just to showcase these other materials and these other products that they have on the market. And so, yeah, I mean, I wanted to do the whole duplex in hempwood, but even with Greg Wilson's, he gave us a heck of a deal and it still was just too expensive, and I think that's where the hang up is right now with,
Yeah,
it's just, there's not enough people using the products for him to be able to bring his price down enough, or anybody in the hemp industry. The products are going to be more expensive right now. There's not enough demand out there to have the prices any lower. And so, I want to do a house with all hempwood flooring. It's just not, we just can't afford it right now, I guess.
yeah. Danny, looks like Rob's got a question or comment. Come on in, Rob.
Hi. So I'm fairly new to hempcrete. I understand some of the principles, and I've seen some of the 3D printed structures that people are doing. This is the first time I've seen it just used as the insulation. Is hempcrete also being? And I've also seen they call it aircrete, where it's got like a sudsy, soapy solution that's causing air space to be taking up some of the space for the hempcrete. Is that a reasonable or logical combination of combining those technologies? And one of the things I noticed is, you've got a conventional framing, and then where you're using the hempcrete as the insulation material. But in the future, are we able to do all of the walls and floor structures in that natural construction method that you're using?
So you mean like combining hempcrete with some other type of natural material to make it, to make the structure? Because hempcrete itself is non-structural. I know there's claims out there of people making, structural blocks, and but they're not there yet. We don't actually have them on the market yet, and so there's other other materials, like you're saying with the aircrete, but then that's with concrete in there. You know, hempcrete doesn't have any concrete in the mixture or any
Okay.
cement, I should say. And so it's, you know, just the word hempcrete's a little misleading. But yeah, I mean, I don't know if there is anyone out there combining aircrete with hempcrete. I know there's a lot of people playing with a lot of different things, different geopolymers and different ways to make the hempcrete set a lot faster. So it's only a matter of time before there's all kinds of, you know, there already is all kinds of new products coming on the market. And so yeah, I think we're right at the forefront of it, you know, here in the US. And so it's a good place to be. And just you saying you're just getting into hempcrete, I think a lot of people in the United States we're just getting into hempcrete ourselves. You know, we're not considering ourselves experts by any means. You know, we're still beginners at this as well. And so I think it's, you know, it's a really great time to get into it. So, you know, don't sell yourself short.
It is okay. So, like you mentioned, so hempcrete isn't it isn't like load bearing,
Yeah.
but what it like. I know I was in normal typical construction for some time, and they were introducing fiberglass, like fiberglass fibers or whatever into the concrete as a binding agent. Is it possible to use the hemp in lieu of the fiberglass in that way, so that way you do have a really strong media, but also the capacity that you're absorbing, because basically with the hemp fiber inside there, it would be petrifying every time it got wet and dry versus degrading. So it's like a carbon negative input that maybe we could incorporate into a normal concrete construction. I'm speaking without professional background by any means, but
Right. I don't have
so
any expertise in that field either. You know, I've built concrete bridges and I've worked with concrete, but I've never like broken down the compounds and everything of it. But I know they used to add, you know, even horsehair and stuff to concrete. And so I don't know about adding organic materials to concrete, if it helps it or if it's gonna um, lessen it. You know, I think it might lessen the structural integrity over time. But I, you know, like I don't know. I'm not an expert on that. Okay, I seen Tim's comment right there. He said organics are not good for Portland cement, and he would definitely know. You know, he would be an expert on that. And so, yeah, I don't. But like I said, there's people playing with all different kind of mixtures. You know, it might not be a traditional cement or concrete mixture that they come up with, but they, you know, they might use, you know, part of this and mix it with part of that. And so, you know, there's different things that they mine for, like natural cement is still mined for in Europe, whereas we don't really mine for that here in the United States. And so the mixture in France or in Europe has a lot of natural cement in it, whereas we go with hydrated lime in our mixtures. And so I think a lot of it is what's accessible in your region as well. And so somebody will come up with, you know, if they haven't already, there's all kinds of, you know, people playing with different mixtures out there. So
okay, thank you.
Thank you. Carol C., did you have a comment?
No, I have a question. And that is, and I put it in the chat, because I have a house in California that was insulated with, sprayed, the insulin, it was, sprayed into the wall, so the holes are there. And I wondered, can we put in the hemp spray? It would mix with what's already there because there's no way to get the insulation out, but I'm sure it's compacted by now in time for some more insulation. So would that be okay to combine it and spray it in there?
no, I wouldn't recommend it, especially hempcrete needs to have an air channel or an air gap to breathe. And so depending on what you have in there, you know, you would still have to create that air channel. And the spraying of hempcrete is different than if you're talking about like the sprayed cellulose or even like whatever the like the spray foam as well. You know, that it's being sprayed like in a big wet material, and it takes a long time to cure. And so I don't think that would be, I wouldn't recommend spraying anything wet that takes that long to cure into something that doesn't have proper air channels, I guess. And so, typical wall system doesn't have an air channel, and so you'd have to get really creative to be able to still have the hempcrete in there, but then have some type of air gap.
Question, can't you
Mhm.
put holes, extra holes for the ventilation? And it is in the Palm Springs area. So if you did it at a time of the year where it's hot, no wet, it's gonna dry out pretty quickly, don't you think?
Yeah, but it's still going to have like it can't be just resting up against whatever material unless that material is vapor permeable.
Exactly. Yeah.
And so like, we talk about retrofitting, but the retrofitting they do in Europe, they say 50% of the hempcrete jobs in Europe are retrofits. Well, that's because they have a lot of old stone buildings, and the stone is vapor permeable, and they can spray right against it. Whereas here in the United States, everything is plastic, and you can't spray right against plastic because plastic doesn't breathe. And so basically the houses we have here in the United States, if we were to try and retrofit them, you'd have to gut the entire house, get really creative with how you're going to make your air gap, and then spray or cast in place or do whatever you're going to do. But by then you're putting a lot of money into the project, after you do all of that. So.
And does it
Okay,
matter if
guys,
it's a
we're running up
manufactured
to the-
house?
What's that? Sorry.
Does it matter if it's a manufactured house?
No, it doesn't matter. So that's basically what we all have up here on the reservation is all manufactured houses. And so we've been working, trying to figure out ways to retrofit these houses too. But like I said, it's going to cost a lot to actually retrofit them. Unless you can do it with blocks. I think blocks are really good for retrofitting. Then it's not wet, and so, but then you still would have to strip your wall down and take out whatever existing insulation is there. So,
But the point
Danny,
that you made
Danny, I'm
earlier
gonna go
about
ahead
it being fire resistant or fire retardant versus the houses that
Wait,
are setting on
hang
fire.
hang on, guys. Who's speaking?
Sorry about that. Yeah, it's Cliff the gardener again. But
Okay, no, let me find you, baby, so I can bring you into the spotlight. And another thing, really quick, let me find you. Where are you? There you are. Yeah, you guys keep your camera on so that because that way I can find you when you speak to bring you up.
While she's doing that, Danny, can I suck the old insulation out first? Is there a way to suck it out?
yeah, depend if it's just like blown cellulose, yeah, I would think you'd be able to just pull it right out, but then you would still have to somehow create that air gap if you're just going to fill it back with hempcrete, like you would have to have access to that space. So you'd basically have to take, your whole wall apart to be able to make sure you're going to have that air channel.
Okay, guys, let me jump in here. We are almost out of time. We still have hands up. Cliff, go ahead, please.
Yeah, I was just speaking of although it might be expensive in order to do some sort of retrofit like that, but in Minnesota we're dealing with a lot of house fires, families losing entire family of children, losing everything they've ever had in their home because of house fires. But seeing the importance of it being mold resistant and fire retardant, I mean, that is a huge benefit to overlook over a cost barrier.
Definitely.
Michael Cole, come on in, please.
Yeah, I agree. Going back to the house, it's not to ask about the house itself, the costing of that house and the square foot of that house. And did that house have a basement, or was that just on the land on the forms, the concrete forms?
Yeah, so if you're talking about the duplex there that we were showing most of the pictures,
Yeah.
yep, that was
Mhm.
so there was an existing basement there, an existing hole dug for a basement. We chose not to use the basement, and so we just kept it as a crawl space and built on top of that with a floor truss system.
Mhm.
And yeah, so that's how we did that. That was around 1,500 square foot for that house. Cost comparison, because
That's
what's that? Sorry.
15. That's a good size. Yeah.
Yeah.
2 bedroom, 3 bedroom.
So it's a duplex, and so it's about 750 for each side of the duplex, and those duplexes are just 1 bedroom, 1 bathroom,
Okay.
emergency house duplex, and so but they're really nice.
What
And
was
then
Okay, guys, I'm gonna go ahead and jump in
finished
here.
costing?
Where are, Michael, I'm gonna go ahead and take the floor, please. Andrew, are you here? We need to let these guys rest. The 30-minute presentation is already almost pushed. We've already pushed them an hour, and we love what you guys are doing. But let's see if Andrew's here.
Well,
Is-
the last part of the question was, what was the final costing of that project?
so of that project, we're around $250,000 after
Okay.
labor. That was including
Alright.
buying all of the herd
Good.
and the binder and the sprayer.
Good. Thank you very much.
Wonderful. Thank you, Danny and Lower Sioux. You guys are absolutely amazing. And Danny, welcome to the family. We're so happy to have you guys in here. And I know you know Andrew Hancock. Andrew is the president of Built for the Future. And I'm so glad you made it. He sent y'all love earlier because he was in here and he had to leave because he had the kids roaming around. So anyway, Andrew, you got the floor, baby. Come on in. Thank you so much, Danny and Laura Sue.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Danny. Really awesome seeing the project come through and all the things you guys are doing. So just keep on trucking along, and yeah, we do what we can, so we can do what we have need to or want to. You know, you do what you have to, so you can do what you want to. So yeah, that's awesome. Things are pretty slow here for me down here in Texas. We're just trying to put some finishing touches on our cabin project, but our property's for sale. We're in the midst of moving the family cross country. So last week I was able to peel away and join up with Tim White and Texas Healthy Homes and did some clay plaster over drywall for a week. We did a bunch of ceilings in the walls using some of the American clay on Hare, which is their one coat product. And that was a lot of fun. That was a project in just the south side of downtown Austin, and I'm thinking weeks I'll be heading to join up with Simon Gonzalez, and he's going to be doing some lime plaster over a CEB structure, a compressed earth block structure. And there's quite a bit of square footage of walls. So he was kind of happy to get another set of hands down there. So I'll be excited for that. I'm excited to. My goal has been to try and be involved as many projects as possible to try and see different ways of tackling different issues. What are things to watch out for? You know, what's necessary, what's not necessary to put in the buildings. So a lot of trouble, you know, what we're all trying to do, we're all trying to create solutions to problems that should have never been here in the first place. And that really kind of correlates to a lot of what we do as a serious pickles. And then I'm here if we just want to talk hemp some more. I'm away from the cabin, so I won't be showing that. Pretty sure we got a good showing on the last Hemposium that we held last month. So if anybody wanted to revisit those recordings, we did a pretty decent walkthrough through that cabin. So yeah, well, I'm just here for y'all and everybody. So if there was any other questions that nobody really got to, or thinking about things, I hear listening to Danny talk and some of the questions that were coming up. I'd gone to NOCO, I think, last year, and there was a bioplastics company, DAMA, DAMA, out of Colorado. They'd been working with a lot of the micronized hemp, working with a lot of like translucent fibers, creating light shades. There's some really neat opportunities to start incorporating some more natural natural plastics, but natural products into our structures. So we had talked, they had a sample of a micronized hurd, probably a geopolymer, like a sub-grade concrete replacement. And then he had talked about the possibility of them doing that air and training into that mixture to create an air hempcrete, an aircrete similar product. So for an above grade application, like Tim had mentioned, would want to try and stay away from organics in our sub-grade applications just because of that moisture migration. Mother Nature always finds a way into our structures, and so that's why we want to build with things that when it does get in, it has an opportunity to escape. It doesn't become detrimental to the materials. So, got my turkeys over here. They're making faces at each other. So sorry about that. So there's a lot of opportunities. I talked to them about, all of our Smurf tubing for electrical, all of our electrical junction boxes, everything that I see, as a material that we're already putting into a structure. If there's a way that I can even create some sort of a height to change that into a more natural plastic into our structures, I'd love, to see more of that get replaced. I know there a lot of people are working on it. It's a hard thing with the supply and chain, supply and demand, and sadly, money drives a lot of decisions, and so a lot of good decisions get passed on because of that reasoning. So we're just trying, just trying to do the best we can with what we got. Keep telling the story, keep educating about the material, keep learning about it as well. And really just to see the community of builders work together. Everyone has been, great and gracious with the information and always willing to help out. So we're always here to help a project progress. And we want good stories to tell, and we want to hang on to good people as well. So I'll stop rambling and and open it up. So if anybody's got anything to say.
Well, I'm going to go ahead and go into share screen. I got show and tell pulled up over here. It'll take a minute for my screen to get pulled up. So here is the cabin. Is it showing up yet?
Yeah, there it is.
There it is. Tell us what we're looking at.
All right. Well, we did a pier and beam system. We were working with my wife's dad, so a lot of decisions were made for certain reasons. And so either way, we've got 12 piers that are 3 feet deep. I've got 3 tripled up 2x12 beams, and then 2x10 floor joists. We have a 280 square foot print. It's 420 livable square feet. There is a 140 square foot loft in there. It's 14x20. We did a 2x4 center stud framework with 2x8 rafters. 2x4 walls. We did a 8-inch thick wall. We put around 7,500 pounds of hemp in there. We used all Texas grown hemp, Texas processed hemp from Lucas Evans with Texas hemp processors out of Taylor, Texas. I used my local hydrated lime, high calcium hydrated lime from my local U.S. Lime and Minerals plant, which is in Cleburne, Texas. I was able to set up an account and paid like $7, $8 a bag for a 50-pound bag. I used through Phelan Dalton with the hemp building company in Colorado. I used the Hemposium pre-bagged mix, which was 6.5 pounds of pozzolan ad mix to use with hydrated lime, and that was $15 a bag. And then I was around a 1-to-1 ratio with my hemp to lime. So we did about 45 pounds to 50 pounds of hemp to 50 pounds of lime to the 6.5 pounds of pozzolan with about 8 gallons of water roundabout. The water is usually to taste. And then we with Tim White as a great mentor of mine, we have found that soaking the hemp herds before adding the mixture allows that hemp herd to absorb the moisture needs that it's going to suck away from your lime if you were not to. So it's a good way to make sure that lime's curing and not getting robbed of its moisture with the hemp. And so we used I think a 6 cubic foot mortar mixer, which is a horizontal shaft with paddles in it. I had to cut my batches in half, so I did about 300 batches of hempcrete. And yeah, so right as what we're looking at here is that clay plaster project with Texas Healthy Homes down in Austin. Those are the ceilings. Some good friends, Darren, Liz. They were doing preparations for Tadillac over some Duroc backing board. We did a lot of mesh placement in crack prone areas. It's always one of the reasons why we love hempcrete too and like monolithic wall assemblies is because it already provides us with a good hard back. A compressed earth block, a rammed earth, an adobe cob, all that already provides us a great structure to go ahead and direct apply some plasters to. What you see here is when we start getting into try and put natural products into conventional builds. It's easy, but there's there's a lot of extra considerations that need to be made. And so this was a lot of fun,
Andrew, I'm sorry. Did you say
Go
this
ahead.
is Tim's? Was this Tim's job? Did you say this is Texas
Yeah,
Healthy Home?
Yeah, this is. Yeah.
Isn't Tim?
So I'll try not to speak too much on it. Out of place.
No, I'm asking because I think Tim's in the room. Tim, are you here? I thought I saw him earlier.
I think he is, and he knows from me. He's always welcome to come on in and talk about it. Like I said,
Hey, Tim, you want to come on camera and come in the conversation? He may be driving or something.
I can unmute.
That's quite.
Now there he is. Go ahead,
man.
Tim.
Yeah, I can unmute. Let's see, it's not letting me do my video with the screen share on. But this is just one of the problems that I've had over the time that I've been doing this is how do we incorporate some earthen material? How do we incorporate something back into the built environment that is not Sherwin-Williams, let's paint the earth? You know, this is all conventional building with natural clay plasters. It comes in a bag, you mix it with the binder, you put it on the wall. We're doing basic finishes here. The ceiling is just applied over some drywall that we taped the joints. We didn't touch any of the screw holes, and then we sponge it for the finish. And it is incredibly easy when you first do your first several thousand square feet of ceilings. It's not the most pleasant experience, but after that, you start to learn how to use your body and mix the material. And the walls, it's pretty dreamy to do plaster on the walls. So that's been a big movement for me. And another reason for doing it, you can see it's just basic, very little drywall prep. Andrew's just cutting in the seams and then running the wall. And if you've got a support staff of working as a team, when he's up there, there's usually somebody popping in or out, maybe giving him some mud, so he doesn't have to come down. So if you can keep the plasters in the air when you're doing the process, and then when it's leather hard, come back and sponge floated, it turns out beautiful as an old world finish. Now, there are some techniques and some patience that go with a natural plaster compared to gypsum or cements. The same.
Did we lose Tim?
Could be a possibility. If he's yeah, it's the weekend. He's in the hill country in Texas, so
Okay.
he may be in and out.
Okay, Andrew, go ahead.
Big
I'll
screen.
Go see if I can find some more pictures.
Yeah, so well, if anybody is interested, my Facebook is open, and I've got you know, pictures of the progress. It's been a one-man show for the most part, so it's been the better part of 2 years for me working on this cabin. I have had some help, you know, and we have hired out a few things here and there. So yeah, it's been a labor of love for sure. So yeah, we're see what else we may want to talk about. Yeah, is anything coming to anybody? Have a question or anything?
Yeah, I've got a question.
Go for it, buddy.
What was the price? What did it cost to make your little home there? I know a lot of it was saved of levels of you did the labor and all that, but you know, it was come for you to build something like that for somebody else, right? Somebody's looking for an alternative or a home, just say a replica of that ballpark price of what somebody would be looking at needing to invest into.
Oh man, well, we're kicking around $100,000 right now. You know, your artisan finishes are definitely going to be more, you know, more upfront. You know, we in the industry always like to say a lot of your costs get recouped over the life of the structure. The way we're building has less mechanical reliance for heating and cooling and fresh air. Our maintenance programs are less over the life of the structure. The the occupant health, you know, I mean, if we're not healthy, we have nothing, you know. And so I think a lot of, you know, my viewpoint on where we are is that we've been led astray by previous generations that we can have it all. It's all attainable, you know, these big houses and the big things and the big systems. And, you know, we no longer build to set roots down in a place. You know, we always build a place because, well, if we got to sell it later on, we can get our money back later, you know, and it's just a compounding issue. And so I think the paradigm shift is in our thinking of what's necessary. What do we need to build? What do we really need to live in? You know, how can we make this more attainable? I know my price for $100,000, you know, I mean, my electrical took a lot because I had 700 feet to run power and services to it. You know, we had bought some skid loader attachments that all kind of went into it. You know, there with a crew and to be able to knock out a project fast too. Had we designed maybe on with a perimeter foundation wall, like on the ground, rather than go with a pier and beam system, if we were to go more to a like a timber frame or a post and beam, where we're nicking out a lot of the 16 and the 24 on center stud work, you know, if we can start reducing a lot more of the other inputs, then you know it all balances itself out. But right now for this, we did Tadillac showers, lime plaster shower, lime plaster backsplash, lime base coat with the clay interior, you know, metal roof, 14-foot walls. So, I mean, if it was a single story, it could have been cheaper and faster too. And so there, you know, it was like this was my, you know, this was our project. So it is hard. I mean, I say $100,000 gets you 500-600 square feet, maybe 800 square feet, you know, depending on what kind of, you know, site prep and, you know, if you can get right to work on it. A lot of different variables that go into a structure, you know. Everyone's been sitting, I think, at like $250 a foot, you know, on the builds. So I mean, it's not terrible, you know. But our problem is that, you know, we're always like, is it cheaper? Yeah, it's like that's what got us in the problem, you know. Now we got mass cheap, you know, infrastructure, right? Because it's fast and cheap. So I don't know, you know, it's but yeah, that's where I'm sitting at.
No,
And this was
agree and
my
thank you,
first
man.
project. This
Yeah,
was
well,
my
it's
first
what does
project
the
too.
building, what does the building give back, right? And in levels, yeah, you're
Oh,
whole different animal, right? Whole different ball game of the natural build
sure.
and the Hemp-Lime and all that. So thank you.
Right. Yeah, and this was my project to be totally on, you know, over it from the scratch, built, you know, ground up, hands on. And that was for me, you know, what's my per batch cost, you know, and where can I learn? I chose to do the hardest thing, which is the center stud, you know, the hardest way to do it. A lot of people do a double stud, you know, a stud on the outside, stud on the inside. It's easy to move the form boards up, but you know, we're putting in lots of lumber. And so this was my, you know, my growing pain that I needed and I wanted to go through to see where this project was. Where do I see where we can make improvements? I love making mistakes and seeing them because it really ingrains what we need to do next time. So, but yeah, it's been a fun project so far. Thanks for your question, brother.
Anybody else?
All right,
Okay,
I've got one final question for you, Andrew. Who braided your hair?
Oh, it's my
I know.
yeah, that's my my badass goddess lady, Mandy, and she's been doing hair since she was a kid, and so yeah, when I can get her attention, she'll braid me up. So yeah, I'm pretty lucky on that front. And our 7-year-old daughter Betty's taken over the reins, and so sometimes she'll braid me as well. So
Okay, I have another show and tell here. So tell us about Keith Bean and what he's doing. He is not going to be able to make it in tonight. And I was
yeah, I
looking
can chat
online, and I think this is a video. Let me see. But you pretty much know about this project. Let's see. Get my square screen up and going here.
Yeah, we're real interested in Keith's project as well. Keith BN and his wife Katie, they are out of Georgia. Katie's been doing pretty good at posting some content for everybody as well. And so they are using the Hemp Block International blocks, or Hemp Block USA. It is a interlocking mortarless block. This is where they kind of tout it as a structural block in itself is not structural, but how they do a kind of a my apologies, a post and beam framework, and then the blocks are laid around that. There is an air gap that they are creating around the steel posts, of which they will fill with that's slipping my mind as well, but they're filling that in, and so then that creates a structural wall assembly. And so they've got half of their home is bermed into the hillside. They've got a concrete foundation wall in that berm. So they're going through the whole, how do we waterproof that and make a transition from the concrete to the hempcrete, which will be above grade. Yeah, some of the hollow core, which is where some of the posts will go. And they're cutting it with electric chainsaws. You can use sawzalls. You can score it and strike it. The material itself is pretty easy to work with. I mean, I drill out my vent holes with a hole saw, and so that it's pretty easy to work with. Then you can take that that waste or whatever falls out of the wall, remix it into a batch, and make your patch around the areas that you need to. So sorry about that. Mandy's away out of town for 3 days, and so it's just us roughing it daddy style in the woods, and so we're just a bunch of wildlings running around here. So yeah, Keith's another project to really watch out for. That was the first Hemp Block USA project in the States. Everybody, we're all hoping to gain traction in everything that we're doing. Danny and the boys up there dealing with some tilt wall assemblies, precast tilt walls. Cameron's up there in Pennsylvania, working on tilt wall assemblies, working on the spray. We've got retrofit blocks. The Davita blocks with Dion in Canada for retrofits are great because they work around the pre-existing framework, and they can be made to where they don't go so deep into the stud work that they allow that air gap that we need. There's I think Lancaster Lime Works is now producing some hemp blocks, so we're there's a lot of different systems. There's some 3D printer people as well that are working on trying to perfect that mixture to be able to come out and perhaps be self-supporting as well, because the 3D the great thing about the 3D printing is that it's self-supporting as it goes up, so we're all rooting for each other and really want to see just traction happening in all of our areas, all of our lanes. So yeah, Keith's place, Hemp Healthy Homes, is theirs. So I'd suggest hitting them up. And yeah, what else you got?
Tina. I am trying to find the country store project. I should have that up in a second.
With Tina's.
Yeah, tell us what Tina's doing.
So Tina had I believe it was a 1910 old general store up in Denton, Nebraska. And so she had torn out from the inside, exposed the framework, and they used the DeVita block from Dion to retrofit that. And I think they had, it might have been 24 on center. Tim White could, yeah, there you go. Tim was up there plastering over those blocks. And I'm not sure if they were 16 or 24, but Dion, the DeVita blocks can be for 16 or 24 on center. And then he's also got just, regular blocks that he can produce as well. I believe last time I checked, those block prices were $18 to $35 a block. So, I'm not quite sure what Lancaster. Yeah. So, it's what we got to deal with for the time.
Yeah.
And, and that's the bummer, is that it is prohibitive to some. And, but it is what it is. I mean, it's like Greg and Greg Wilson with Hempwood, it's making the most sustainable flooring on the, other than probably an Adobe floor, that we can produce, that's healthy, long lasting. It's sustainable, and it's a superior product. They compare it with Brazilian cherry. It's 25% harder than an oak. So to fathom that we would pay less for a superior project too, I think, or a product, we just kind of have to see what really is going on. So yeah, the blocks, they are expensive. But when you're paying a crew to come in and maybe you're wanting to hempcrete it, and it's like you got weeks and weeks of hempcreting and then a month or two of letting that dry out, or you could be blocking that in a week and you'd be done and you're ready to plaster right away. So like a lot of people that have construction loans, and you're paying 12% or whatever on a loan, time is everything. So that's where some of those costs come back, and you recoup those costs later on. Yeah, it's a real balancing act. Thanks, Shauna. I see it. So yeah,
is Tim back?
Yeah, Tim was back. I wanted to see what his comment was, because he's also, I knew he's also making blocks on site. A lot of what he likes to do when he's got a project from the ground up, he likes to hempcrete most of the wall. With his setup, he's got a big John Deere skid steer, and yeah, and the big mix and go that he can mix 3 batches at a time. And so he's they can go through like thousands of pounds of hemp and fast. And then he'll wait till the blocks. I'll let you speak too, Tim. But he'll wait for the top part of the wall, where everyone who does cast in place knows that's like the suckiest part. When you got a roof already on and you're just trying to, pack that hemp up there. He'll make pre-done blocks, and they'll stack it in there and pack around them, and it really helps with the drying time too, to have that already kind of pre-cured. So Tim, I see you there, buddy. If
yeah, go ahead, Tim.
Yeah, the sun's going down, so my natural lighting in my window is not the greatest. So sorry about the shadow, but don't worry. I'm watching my back.
Oh, that was priceless.
Yeah, I thought you'd like that.
I'm so glad we got that recorded. Okay.
But yeah, this is a situation where this is at dodecagon. It's a timber frame dodecagon reciprocating roof timber frame. So it's got double rafters and it's got 12 posts and big windows in between them. And then trying to support those big windows in that space and doing extra posts down, and then trying to get cast in place inside of that when you got 2x10s and everything, so you have a small space. I was like, well, let's just make some 12 by 12 inch blocks and we'll just masonry it in and cut them around. And so it worked really well. And so there's more than just one way to do it. And then in between the columns or between the windows, there's a column right there. And then we took mesh, fiberglass mesh material that has like a 1/2 inch open space and stapled it on the inside. And then as we stapled up, we were doing cast in place down in behind it. It does not have any breathable space around it, but it's only 12 inches by 8 inches deep. So it dried out really well to the surface. And then we do our lime plasters over top of that. So that whole wall system can never mold, really, to tell you the truth. Now, if you start covering with synthetics and sealers, you're headed down a path of no return there. You know, if you just keep with the historic materials, we're going to be just fine. So, but Andrew, your question with blocks on Tina's project, we were pushing them so hard to get their walls done that they had one wall that they did and they finished like at midnight. And then we came in the next morning, Darren and I, and we plastered that wall. And it was in between 2x4s, and it was not a huge wall. I mean, it was only 18 feet by 18 feet, you know, so it wasn't like massive. So we were worried about the movement, and we put that fiber mesh, that stucco lath fiber mesh, the black open weave stuff over top of it. You could have used stucco wire also, just so we could deal with any movement that it might take place in that interior wall. So other than that, that's why I like blocks so much, is because the blocks can be made someplace right at the end of the decortication plant would be best. And then they can be shipped somewhere as a value-added product. Then they can be stacked at a simple masonry system into make a wall, hopefully down the road as a structural block, and we can just get rid of the framing for the most part. And it is already dry. So literally when you get done stacking, you can literally start to do your plaster work directly on top of it. And in a cold setting, those blocks are so insulative that it would be really hard pressed for it to freeze all the way into the mortar joint. If you were doing it in November or October or early in the spring, you might get a little frost at the mortar joint on the first 1/2 inch, but if you dust that off before you start to do your lime plasters, you have more tooth. So that's why I really and I love being a historic mason and stacking walls with a 4-foot level and a string line and a chalk. I mean, I feel like I'm building old school stuff again, you know. Get rid of the 2x4s. You need a chalk, you need a string, you need a level, and a margin trowel, and you're good to go. Super simple. Any other questions there?
Yeah, I've got something. I found I found the country store project on Tim's timeline. So Tim, we're doing show and tell. Hang on, let me get my screen share up.
And one more thing, in the chat group, I put up our Hempcrete workshop flyer, trying to see if you open that, if you go to the links, that'll take you to more information on it. But we're doing that in March, and we're going to be doing cast in place and blocks and a framing system that has very few posts compared to conventional framing.
Wonderful, thank you. So here is Tina wearing her Texas Healthy Homes hat. So this is the project that Andrew was speaking of earlier, the country store. And let me click through here, and Tim, you can tell us what we're looking at.
Well, that's Dion putting the final blocks above the front area, and he ended up finishing that, leaving it open, and it was really cool. It was really cool at the end. Tina's mixing up the material that Dion uses to put in between his blocks when they mortar them together. And what you see behind her is a brown coat of lime plaster over the blocks that has been wood floated or lightly compressed to give it extra strength. And that dries to be a beautiful finish. This is Darren Del Toro, apprentice at Texas Healthy Homes. He is actually wood floating that. And on the right-hand side, you can see how it's smooth and shiny. Well, that's when we plastered it on. And that wall right there is less breathable than the wall that's got a darker texture to it, because the pore surface on the surface of it has been opened up, and a little bit of water has been worked out of that wall. So it's a denser wall, which means it is a stronger form of limestone. And that's just one coat directly over the blocks. That's me teaching Tim how to detail electrical boxes that they had. That wall there, you can see it's shiny. It hasn't been wood floated. You know, there's me putting it on that one coat system, and you can see the little silver circles that was used to tie it back into the studs, you know, every 3-4 blocks. And you can see the mortar. And then you can see how we're just putting it up. And then when we would float it, we take out all of our trowel lines and we make it an open pore surface. And we also find that it makes the wall really flat and it makes it really strong. So if you got the right sand gradation, you got the right binder mix ratio, and you got the right application system of getting it stuck to the wall, and you do the wood floating, you know, all of those steps lead to success in a lime plaster project. Again, that's just a wall. We did that wall there, Darren and I, in about 6 hours, from mixing material to putting it on and wood floating it to finish it. So for 2 guys, and that's 40 some feet long.
Yeah, that's a great picture. That really shows it right there.
Yeah. And you know, we're really not, that's the other wall now, the other side of the building. And it's a dry substrate, and so it's super easy to get lime to bond. And as a plasterer, you know, this is a once in a lifetime experience for me to get a 14-foot tall wall by 38 feet long with no windows in it to detail. Normally in custom houses, in that amount of wall surface, there would be 7 to 10 windows that all had rolled window details or bump outs that would take you 3 days to do that amount of wall surface. So when you're trying to figure out your budget and everything, those type of details can cost you more time, more days on your loan, or less time on your loan. So
Guys, I was going to ask you this when I first saw it, and I've never gotten around to it. What are those metal? Are those spacers between the
no,
blocks?
not
What are
spacers.
those?
They're little circular rings that have a hole in them that you can put a screw in, and that screw goes through and gets attached to the stud to help hold that whole wall assembly
Ah,
on the wall. Because those are really tall walls. I mean, there's
yeah,
a
yeah.
reason they don't build those walls like that anymore. And then Andrew, going back to the blocks, these were 16-inch on centers, but they were true 2x4s. They weren't 1.5 inches. And so in Dion's molds, they're made for conventional modern 2x4s, not historic true 2x4s. And so they had to trim an edge on the sides to get it to fit in the 2x4.
Wow.
Interesting.
You know,
So they didn't just so that they could wedge it a little further back in that stud.
just so they could fit it in that bay, because they weren't 1.5-inch studs, they were 2-inch studs.
Oh, right. I get you, from side to side width-wise. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So, you know, that's always another thing when you get to retrofitting and stuff. It's like, how old is the building? Are they building with real wood materials? Are they conventional materials that are tree farmed and maybe better to build a boat out of? You know, some of the conventional material wood products are out of control. So it is one of those things. It's like, make sure you know what you're doing when you're getting into it, Andrew, and have a good plan and simplify.
Tim, is the flyer for the workshop, is that the mastermind or is mastermind over?
No, this is a Texas Healthy Homes. Run.
No, remember when you did the Hemp Build School Mastermind?
Yeah, we're still doing that, and we're doing it. We'll do another session of it. What we're really trying to do through that masterminds, I think what Ray and Jean are trying to do is trying to build a knowledge base across the borders of different states and different regions, and the involvement in the U.S. Hemp Building Association, also trying to, get organizations to support themselves, and trying to get it to where it's another avenue for education. It happens to be more on, you pay to take the masterminds course, it gets recorded also, so you can back and pay for a previously recorded one, but it's set up with instructors that are trying to provide a format. I mean, I do get paid for it, but it's ridiculously small when we're doing it, but it's every other Thursday. And it's coming on okay. The problem is, at the end of the day, the problem is in that format over there, we have 8 to 15 people. On this format here, we have 15 to 20 people. How many millions of Americans do we have, inside of the United States? How do we figure out how we work as different passionate individuals to do something better on the planet, to support each other so that we can actually move the ball down the field? And there's different avenues with that. Everybody that I've been involved with and that I talk to you inside of what's taking place in hemp right now, we all understand that there's one thing for sure: there is no competition, and we are not each other's competitor. Okay. And so that is different than any other type of sector of business that you have today. Everybody else is out to cut everybody else's throat. Sure, we do have our sharks out there, but time has been weeding those out, and there is a collective group of people that really want to see this move forward. And so the connections I've been able to make there are great. Part of what Texas Healthy Homes and Tim White is wanting to do as we move forward this next year and down the road is to be more involved with education. So the Hemp Build Masterminds is another education format for us, and that's kind of how I look at it. With the Hempcrete Workshop flyer, we're doing this small project in Hill Country, Texas in March. It's great little workshop space. They're open to it. We're going to be doing a hempcrete workshops. We'll be doing lime plaster workshops, Adobe floor workshop, and then a lime finish workshop over the next 3-4 months on that project. In June, I'm teaching for Tierra Vida Academy outside of Portland, Oregon, doing a week-long hempcrete and a week-long lime class. In July, we're in Kansas for the open house for South Bend Industrial Hemp. Holy cow. And then we got someplace to be after that. So for us, it's education, and as many formats as we can be involved with, and the more that we can tie people together, the better off the whole movement will be. For me, if I was to see it, I would like to see all the different organizations that are involved with hemp coming together and supporting each other. Again, this is a great picture of that spring project. It actually is an ayahuasca temple. This we're putting the finish coat of our Adobe floor in, and they are coming back when it's leather hard and wood floating it. It makes it incredibly hard. And then we'll do a clay slip on top of it. But that floor right there, for the amount of reinforced concrete and steel that we took out of that 1,000 square feet of floor, we took probably 10 million British thermal units of energy out of the project just not using reinforced concrete and steel.
Wow.
Yeah, and so those are the things. It's like we got to try something different. We have to network with each other. We have to exchange information. We have to exchange ideas. We have to say, wow, look at what those guys did. That is a possibility. And what I
This
really
is
like
one,
about
yeah, this is one of my favorite projects that you've done.
oh yeah, it's beautiful.
The Wimberley.
Yeah, it's and here they're
Hang on,
doing-
Tim. I've got my sound on. Let me get off here. I'm picking up your audio from the video. There we go.
And here they're back on knee boards with floating that project. Yeah, it is a beautiful project. The problem for me is I've got a degree in field biology. So I'm really on the environmental aspect of it. And this is really not the type of buildings that we want to do. So every time I see this, I see the forest that was in the mountains.
The forest.
Spring.
Yeah, the forest and the roof. Exactly.
Yeah. Well, in the post and everything. And so it's hard for me on that aspect, but on the other aspect, there are going to be tens, hundreds of thousands of people in the next 250 years that will go through this building and have an experience of an earthen floor underneath their feet, because none of them have had that experience at all. Nobody in the city or in modern construction ever, that's not out there. That is a life-changing experience.
It really is. It is such a grounding effect to be on
Yeah,
an
and
earthen floor.
so if that building can change people's perception, one of those people might be a gazillionaire, and says, this is what I want. What do I got to do? And drop a couple $1 billion towards getting natural building into mainstream.
Oh, we got sound on again.
Did you put this
Okay.
together, Andrew?
Oh, I'm sorry. Hang on, guys. Let me go ahead and take that down. No, I'm sorry. I had I had sound on, so it was overtaken. You go ahead.
Did you put that little video together, Andrew, or put it to Shauna? Shauna?
No, I think she's going up through Facebook and just
Oh, right on.
pulling up
Cool.
some past posts. Yeah.
No, those are all off your timeline, Tim.
Oh, okay. Well, there we go.
It's magic.
Yeah, who knows out there? Who knows, especially with me. I will say one thing, that mix and go mixer. I've been in natural building for way too long. And if there is one thing that I wish I would have had at the very beginning, is that skid steer and that mix and go mixer on the front of it, where you can mix 16 cubic feet of material. On the project that we're doing the workshops on, we are on work day 22 from showing up and breaking ground on a 1,500 square foot house. And we are putting metal on it on day 23 on the roof. And so to be able to mix your own concrete for your grade beams, your adobe material, your hempcrete material, your lime plasters, with one machine that you can drive and take it anywhere, it has been a game changer. Just in time and efficiency drives cost. And when you can get that cost down because of efficiency, so that you can build perhaps a 1,500 square foot house in 4 months, that's all natural, under 6 months, well, then investors want to know what's going on, and that's always been our goal. How do we get this mass produced and get it into a system? If we get a block that's structural at some point in time here in the next 5 years for a single story development, at least, that will be a price point that the investors will not want to pass up, because they're going to sell the same square footage of house for the same cost of what they can sell it today. That's what you have to beat the number. And we're getting closer. It's really exciting, actually.
Whoa. Somebody crashed and burned.
Andrew, do you have anything to add to that? You there? I always know every time I go out to Andrew's, his cell phone's not the best.
Hey, my cell phone's great out here, man. I had to step into the funny farm bin over there. Yeah, just hanging out with the turkeys.
Yep, it's getting dark there too.
No, I appreciate all the things you said, Tim, and you know, it's where we're heading, and I'm glad to be able to work with you, man. So
wonderful, guys. We're getting really close to we're about 7 minutes from the top of the hour. Tim, it is such an honor to finally get to have you here on the on our little episodes and to have your wisdom and knowledge as part of this. And it is an honor to have you part of our network as well. And Andrew, thank you so much for dragging him in. Okay, guys. Last minute, any comments for Tim or Andrew or Danny or any of the builders in the room?
I just want to say thank you for those great comments. I just feel honored to be able to work with natural materials. It really is exciting.
Well, Tim, I tell you what, yeah, you are definitely one of the maestros. Hey, there is Alan from Scotland. Alan, come on in. You got a comment?
Oh,
check your mic.
I was saying I'm not a builder, but I'm collecting stones. Largish ones. Small ones as well, because they go in the cracks. Because in Scotland, when you build a dry stone dike, or as they call it in Scotland, dry stone dike, a dry stone dike, you get all the bits and you fit them together. We start with a circular, what do you call the thing at the top of the mountain again? On the top of right at the very top of the mountain, they always build one with the stones. I'm not going to go at the top of a mountain because it's too much work. I'm going to build at the bottom of the mountain where the river's running down. So we've got some power when the electricity turns with the water wheel, and then the stones will be the centre of the Scottish headquarters for whatever it is we're doing.
the cornerstone.
Yeah.
Cornerstone.
Keystone.
Keystone. That's what. Yeah, that's what the that's the magic of the arc. Keystone. FBI Special New York City. What? Alan, your mic's off again. But anyway, Alan's a trip. That's Earth Mother UK for you. Okay. Okay.
This is illegal in your country, but I'm allowed to wear this in this country. I can be an FBI agent for New York City in this country, no problem. Try sending the FBI over here, the Scottish police will kick them out.
Okay.
God love the Scots.
Yes. Lovely, lovely. Okay, so last minute warning, we need to let there comes Michael. Of course. We gotta have BC chime in. Come on in, Michael. Where'd you go? I lost you.
Yeah, I just wanted to ask if Tim and the builders could drop their contacts into the chat. I'd like to contact them regarding a for April for 420 Day in Niagara Falls. I have space. I like to bring the consciousness of the hemp and Shonda's organization, everything into that little space as well, and to give some exposure.
Michael, if I can make a suggestion, we've already got
Yeah,
a
sure.
big,
Go ahead.
we've already got a big event planned for 420 and 421. It's the 7th annual Earth Fest Convergence. So why don't you bring your event into our event? That way.
Well, yeah, we could tap into that, and then I could maybe provide a big, huge screen, and then have people come and sit in the one section so that they can witness that as well. That informative. Yeah, I don't know what you have planned, but that's a brilliant idea to bridge that.
Yeah, no,
because
baby,
there's a lot of people in Ontario really interested, and in the building, in the hemp building stuff and everything. And so if I can set this up, then I can pull some of those builders, and some of these people they have money, of which you were speaking about. Like these are, yeah. So I'd like to try and
that'd be
bridge
great.
that gap.
No, baby,
for you.
Earth Fest is going to be part of the Unity Earth and Sign Network this year. So just come on and jump right in the middle of it, and just get into the middle of it, because we're going to have a really huge audience this year because of the merger into the peace movement. So anyway, much love to everyone. We're going to let Andrew go take care of the munchkins. Where did Mandy go? Where's she at? You don't know?
Oh, I've been unmuted the whole time too. So she's in preparations to move cross country. She's down to working. We've shut her hair salon down here on our property, and she's operating out of a friend's salon for 3 days, and then the rest of the month I'll be trying to get back down to Tim's, and then going over to Simon's, and then trying to get out to Keith's place in Georgia as well. So but yeah, that's where she is. But we're doing good. Don't be worried about us.
No, I was just wondering why you were stuck with the kids tonight. You said she was gone for 3 days. No, I forgot she's doing that shock transmute. Very good. Okay, guys, we're
Alan?
fixing to close it down.
Bye.
Bye, fucking Alan. Bye.
I was holding up the talking stick, but nobody saw it.
Okay, so we are going to shut down Facebook Live. Everybody say good night, Facebook.